Welcome to the Rahbar Talk Show. This is a third session related to calorie restriction, and we want to just make some concluding remarks how the calorie restriction can just orchestrate different biological aspects inside human bodies. So be with us and see what happens. Mr. Ahmadzadeh, as you know, due to the massive changes in human lifestyle, in different conditions, we are supposed to just have an easy access to different nutrients. And so the technology of the food packing has changed all the things as we compare it to the previous times. So do you think that the food packing can just alter the quality of the food, and even that it can just change the accessibility of the different nutrients to our body? I mean that the cells?
Yes, actually, in food packaging, the calorie labels on food packaging can affect our daily life calorie intake very much. For example, in some cases, we have an overestimation of calorie values on food packages, which can affect our body unintentionally to intake just less than what was intended. So it can, for example, it can be 1,000, which is actually 700. So in this case, we are unintentionally making our body to lose the fat much more in an accelerated way. And on the other hand, we are making our body to lose good nutrients also. So we are we are vulnerable to insufficiency of nutrients. On the other hand, we are having overestimations of food labels, like, for example, when they are mentioned or reported as 1,000, but it is actually more than that.
Great.
So it means that we are taking a lot of what we are planned or what we were intended to take. So in these cases, we can't preserve muscle besides having fat loss. So we are just adding fat to our body and not preserve muscle enough. As for muscle preservation, we must have macronutrients in our daily life. So, for example, macronutrients are associated with proteins, which are very important as to control the calorie in the good way, and also it must have a good relationship with each other in order to do the both things, like, for example, the fat loss and the muscle preservation. But actually, I think that we need to change our habits. For example, as besides using food packagings, we can use whole foods, like, for example, nutrients, like foods, like, for example, fruits, vegetables, or meat, for example, which can associated with calorie content exactly what we want. So I believe that it can be a change in our daily life.
And you mean that, as I understood, this technology is going to overwhelm the human beings because of it's going to just pursue the individuals to just to eat more and more, and it's going to just smash all the biological metabolic status, as I understand. So we should be aware that it's detrimental effects, and so we just under control how we want to just get or ingest some of the nutrients. It should be under control. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot. Any comments by others? Mrs. Boza, as you know, emerging data have proved the therapeutic effects of calorie restriction in the elevation and inhibition of some pathological condition. For example, polyovarian cystic syndrome. It's a kind of, as you know, the pathological condition occurs in females and just affect the reproduction efficiency. Do you have any data how calorie restriction can control or just reduce the possibility of the PCOS in females?
Thank you, Professor, for your excellent question. Actually, in last year, recently years, the PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome is one of the most common problem between the females. That is the multiple cysts in the ovarian and can affect reproduction system. Different studies try to examine the effect of calorie restriction on the PCOS. Actually, in the systematic review, which published in 2024, they analyzed 3 high-quality study about the influence of calorie restriction on the PCOS. But the results, it's a little different because from these 3 articles, 2 of them, it's the focus on calorie restriction, but one of them, it's about fasting in Ramadan. But the totally results show that the calorie restriction can be highly beneficial for PCOS and can help to losing weight, decrease the level of sugar and cholesterol in body, and control the sugar and cholesterol and lipid in body. Also can increase the sensitivity of insulin receptors on cells and help to cells to receive the glucose. Another beneficial point for cells is that calorie restriction can help to decrease the inflammation in the PCOS and also at all with regulation the hormones level in body, women body, can decrease the testosterone level, can increase the sex hormone binding ligand hormones, which is so helpful for PCOS treating. But I want to add that the data and researchers in this area is so limited, and we don't have enough good articles in this area. Also, when while researching about that, I saw a few articles about effect of calorie restriction on PMS or perimenstrual syndrome. It's common and so important problem for young girls and women. But we don't have enough education in this area. Some of the women think this pain and this problem is so common and it's normal. But it's a medical condition and we can go to and we can give a medicine help.
Great.
Yes.
And you think that the calorie restriction should just control the intensity of pain under such conditions?
Yes, absolutely. But I say it again, we don't have enough data about that. I just see 2 articles about that.
Just one,
control,
2
yes, the pain and it's decrease the level of their life.
Yeah, as you told, it really was a very interesting data, and I think that the control of the immune cell requirements to the target tissue, as well as the regulation of the hormones, which are going to adjust the function of the cells within the reproductive systems, will be at the focus of in calorie restriction individuals. But so, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. And the insulin signaling pathway is one of the most determinant signaling cascade gets to control the function of the other signaling pathway, because this signaling pathway has crosstalk with the other signaling pathway. So, yeah, it's mighty. Yeah, right. You just gave us some very informative and very interesting data. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Mamagani. I found recent data about the possible effect of calorie restriction in postponing the senile changes. And as you know, in individuals which are with a calorie restriction program, the metabolic activity will be controlled. So one of the outcomes in these individuals is that the senile changes will be postponed. Do you think that it's true or not? If you have any data or related information, please go ahead.
The new studies suggest that a calorie restriction have very beneficial effects on senescence. Let's start from autophagy switch. When we do calorie restriction at first hours, in our body it starts macroautophagy, which is very use energy from our cells, and also it's beneficial in our in first hour in our body because it's make a lot of energy and ATP ratio in our body. But when calorie restriction gets longer, this autophagy switches to microautophagy and CMA or chaperone-mediated autophagy.
Okay, let me just to repeat your comments. You mentioned that during the early stage after calorie restriction, macroautophagy is dominant form of the autophagy, and then it can just switch to the other type like chaperone-mediated autophagy and even microautophagy.
And also here, CMA is the dominant autophagy. Why? Because microautophagy and it's very energetically expensive to sell because it needs fusion, vesicles, and other things. But in CMA, we selectively degrade proteins and we can renew some proteins, and it's more beneficial. But however, in older people, shows that this autophagy and chronic autophagy can cause age-related disease and make them health better, and there is no benefit of health span and lifespan. So there's 3 strategies for older people. First of them, using CRMs or calorie restriction mimetics. Second one is restricted feeding time, and the third one is reducing protein intake, which is I disagree with, because when you lower your protein intake, that cause malnutrition, and also decrease the mass of the skeletal and muscles in our body. So another process in our body is senescence. We have senescent cell in our body from young age until we death. But these senescent cells, when we are young, they are very low in low dose and have a beneficial effects on our body, like wound healing. But as we age, these cells accumulate in our body and make age-related disease like Alzheimer's, cancers, Parkinson's, and also cardiovascular disease. So we have xenotherapies. Xenotherapies have 2 stages here, senolytics and xenomorphics. Senolytics are drugs especially induce apoptosis in senescent cells. Xenomorphics, instead of kill these cells, can suppress SASP. It's a protein, abbreviated form of senescence-associated secretory phenotype, which is such as cytokines like interleukin-6 and chemokines and other inflammation proteins.
So it induced the senile changes, and CMA is going to downregulate this protein,
yes.
as I understood.
Calorie restriction with benefits like autophagy or increase the energy intake can cure these senescent cells. I want to discuss how CRMs are useful in this
okay, go ahead, please.
Process. CRMs or calorie restriction mimetics are compounds which mimic calorie restriction. It means we don't calorie restriction, but we use the benefits of calorie restriction. There is 2 categories here: downstream CRMs and upstream CRMs. Downstream CRMs, which compounds are targeted intracellular pathways like mTOR1, SIRT1, and something like that. They induce autophagy, especially mitophagy, and they can target pathways like mTOR inhibiting, activating AMPK and IGF-1 signaling.
And so the IGF-1 should be just inhibited, as I know. Because for induction of the autophagy, the mTOR complex 1, even the ratio of the AMP to ATP and or ADP should be just increased. Otherwise, the insulin growth factor 1 should be inhibited, as I know.
Inhibited, yes, that's right. And there is some, these CRMs are well known in clinical trials like rapamycin, metformin. Metformin is also anti-diabetic drugs which can modulate our glucose in our body and also increase insulin sensitivity, but also can target multiple pathways. And also there is a more interesting thing about these downstream CRMs. They can modulate immune responses. They can improve CD8 plus T cell memory in our body and modulate immune response to inflammation. But however, we have some limits to use these CRMs, because if we use these CRMs in highly dose, there is cause of toxicity and suppress of immune responses. And the most important thing is we don't have any strong evidence that shows these CRMs can extend lifespan and health span in humans. And second type is upstream CRMs, which are affect on early stages of energy intake, like glucose and glucolysis. Here we use some analog of glucose instead of glucose to suppress the glucolysis, like 2-deoxyglucose or 2-allulose, deallulose.
Yeah, these are some that I know intermediate metabolites in glycolytic pathway, and even that they can just transfer to lactic acid, and then or pyruvate is going to transfer to the mitochondria. Yeah.
These CRMs not very recommended because they can affect in variable pathways, and also they don't target the just specific tissue or cell. They affect all our body, so we have limit to use this CRMs.
Great, thanks a lot. As you mentioned very carefully, the application of the calorie restriction mimetics should be just at the center of attention. For example, the use of the metformin has its own side effects. For example, in higher doses, it can cause acidosis inside cells, and it will be, very complicated condition, even in terms of the cardiovascular diseases. And so it should be prescribed with a very, very restricted condition. And so we should be just aware that uncontrolled use of these drugs are not recommended anywhere. Okay, and even that the substitution glucose metabolites it could be a strategy, but we could not control the accessibility and distribution of glucose to a specific tissue, and it can just distribute in all the tissue and can be just internalized with all cell types and cell lineages, and it can just affect its own biological effects into the different cell types. Even that some tissue are so vulnerable to the oxygen and even glucose consumption, like a brain cell and heart cell. It should be just under control. Yeah, thanks a lot. Farzin, as you know, different clinics in different parts of the world have tried to use some calorie restriction program for cancer patients. They believe in fact that calorie restriction can just increase the sensitivity of the cancer cells to chemotherapeutics. Do you have any logic how this can be beneficial and individual can just be treated with both combination of the calorie restriction and other conventional therapies?
Yeah, actually, as we talked about the cancer and tumor cells and the effects of autophagy and calorie restriction on tumor cells in former sessions, but we talked about it a little bit generally. So let's deep dive into the mechanisms that happens. Actually, this is the fact that in early stages of tumor and tumoric cells, yeah, it works. Actually, there are lots of limitations in clinical trials about calorie restriction or fasting or I don't know, these kind of things on how they work on tumor cells, and we have lack of information because it differs from person to person, and the stage of the tumor and the place of the tumor, which organ is how to say have that tumoric cell. So, but there are some main and how to say statistically proven methods. Actually, in fasting, most of the time we are facing with calorie restriction, and the glucose goes down. When the glucose goes down, actually the production of ATPs goes down, and ATP is really crucial for tumoric cells. So this effect causes tumor cells to decrease the size. And then also there's an effect called Warburg effect that happens, and it's really beneficial because the tumor cells decreases. But there are lots of another factors that usually participate in this flux. For example, it's not like that we can always use the same recipe for all of the patients, because in most cases, the people who are dealing with cancer and tumoric cells have cachexia, and they lose large amount of muscle, and usually they are losing weight in their daily life. So using fasting or calorie restriction methods, it's not beneficial, and also it's harmful for them. But as you asked in the question, what about chemotherapy? Yeah, it's proven in articles that combining fasting and calorie restriction methods with chemotherapy, yeah, it works. It has really important effects, and it usually stops cells to growth. As you know, in the late stages of tumoric cells, they use fasting and autophagy as a survival mechanism for themselves. And actually, it's not the results we want. But when we combine it with chemotherapy, it shows the effects that we want. It means that the tumoric cells decreases and the patient have better life expectancy.
Great. As you told very precisely, yeah, you're right. This cancer cell could not use the other metabolites rather than the glucose, because the precise depend on the glycolytic pathway. Even the mitochondria have their less and even at least metabolic activity. So these cells are very sensitive to any biogenetic stress. By using the calorie restriction, we put the cancer stem cells to the insulting condition. So in these individuals, the production of free fatty acid will be increased as well. So the cancer cells could not use the free fatty acid as an energy source, and but normal cells and healthy cells can use it without any problem. So we're going to make a sieving process. I mean, we're going to select the cells to how some kind of population or some kind of cell could survive or not. Even the addition of the other chemotherapies can help the cells can be eliminated, because the cell will be sensitive by using the calorie restriction at the first step, and then using the chemotherapies will kill these cells as well. Thanks a lot.
Actually, yeah, the mitochondria plays an important role here, because in fasting, we are accumulation of reactive oxygen species, ROSs, and it's really beneficial. It really, as we speak, it generally kills the tumor cells. Also, there are some pathways related. When we combine fasting with chemotherapy, the caspase activates, which is really beneficial. The AKT pathways activates, and these are really important in curing the tumoric cells. But also, it differs person to person. It differs from stage to stage. It needs lots of work to find out the mechanism, the actual recipe for all types of cancer cells.
Great, thank you. Mr. Nazif Kirdar, we talked just about the beneficial effects of calorie restriction in human. And so absolutely any modulation in biological system has side and even positive effects. How about the side effects?
As you mentioned, up until now, we have discussed about the advantages of the autophagy and calorie restriction, and namely fasting in human studies, some studies, and also in clinical trials and some animal studies. But it is not the whole story of the this section. We have some disadvantages of these kind of things in our body. Every actions have some reactions, as we know, in our body. So we need to be very careful in this regard because some studies indicate that autophagy and prolonged being exposure to autophagy and calorie restriction has its own detrimental effects on our body, such as our bone density is going to decrease, some hair loss is going to happen, and also some genomic instability is going to be active and happen over there in our body. So these are some disadvantages that I would like to mention. And every prescriptions and every steps that we are going to take must be under the control of the doctors and nutritionists. And also, we are not going to prescribe these kind of things to the pregnant peoples because it has some
its own effects.
Yeah,
we are not aware of it. Thanks a lot.
And baby.
Thanks a lot. Okay, we had a 3-session discussion about the calorie restriction and fasting effects on human body and on other biological system. Emerging data have proved its beneficials to regulate different signaling pathway under different pathological conditions. But we are at our first journey to the calorie restriction program. We are not completely aware how these programs can just modulate our body in the right way. So any modulation, any application of different kinds of the calorie restriction and fasting should be under control to just reduce its detrimental effects in human and other creatures. Thanks a lot. If you think that you are interested in this topic, please share, like, and subscribe our channel. If you have any comments, helpful comments, please write down in the YouTube channel. And we also have a chance to support any suggestion from your side. If you are interested in a specific topic, in that case, you can just write down in our channel and we can make a discussion about that topics and suggested items. Thanks a lot.